everyone, welcome to Showing Up. I'm here with the very notable designer, Swedish designer, Jacob Trollbeck.
Thank you. Hello.
So Jake has been working here. We're at Goal 17 at Davos here. They've been putting together this incredible roadmap. So maybe you can talk about your history of working with the SDGs and how this roadmap came into existence.
Yeah, very nice to talk to you and you. First of all, we created the communication language for the SDGs. We call it the global goals because we think that SDGs sounds too boring. And since this is a program that is for people, made by people, we should just make sure that everyone has the ownership of this fantastic map of how to fix everything that's wrong in the world.
Right.
So we've been working with that a lot, and I think that by now we're 4 years into the program. There's a lot of people who know what is wrong with the world. There's not that many people who knows how to fix it.
Right.
And after having worked for basically 4 years in spreading information about what the global goals are and what the different dimensions and aspects they're covering, namely all, we are now thinking that enough people should know about it, so that we need to start to focus on what we can do about it.
Right.
So that's where a lot of our focus is today, and that's where this climate action roadmap came from.
Right. So you've been in the design space for a long time, and how did you make that transition from being a designer, doing a lot of digital and graphic work, into the SDGs?
Or the global goals.
Or the global goals, sorry. I'll fix my language, the global goals.
Well, I have a studio in New York, Trollbeck & Company, that is 20 years old now. And so we've been working with branding and advertising for a long time. And when you do that, it's always about condensing the message into the most powerful kernel of the message you can do. And it's all about talking in a way that people react to in a positive way. Or obviously not in a positive way if you're talking about things like the climate, but you want to get a reaction from people. And so when we started to work with the UN through Richard Curtis' organization, Project Everyone, the whole idea was just to transport this language, to transform this language from a language that was very diplomatic and boring into something that was actionable and felt like you would react to it.
That people could identify with, yeah.
And to make it as simple as possible, because it's there's a lot of words, and there's a lot of good words, but we all know what happens when someone talks too much. He said in many words, but to condense the message, that's really an important part. And then, of course, since our main thrust has always been copywriting and design, then it was very important for us also to create first a major brand, which is the wheel, as people call it, and then to make sure that all of the individual goals have their own sort of sub-brand, so that people can remember them and recall them and sort of have a clear structure of what they are.
Yeah. So you've been on this interesting journey because, when you talk about language and when you talk about communication, a lot of people say a lot of stuff, right? And how do you then take that transition from words or language or speaking into action? And I think, if I understand correctly, this is part of what led you to create the roadmap, right?
Yeah, it's when it comes to the climate, we know we have to do things about it. And there has been enough said about what we need to do but not that many words on how to make this change. And I think the reason is because what we need to do is something that comes from a largely academic standpoint. It's scientists and academics who are saying that these are the issues that we need to deal with. But the people who have to do something are businessmen,
right,
and investors.
And also grassroots, let's not forget people on the ground, right, because they can also force a change through their voices,
correct,
their actions and their demands.
Yeah, and that pressure is really important, and of course we have, Greta Thunberg has started a tremendous movement. But even so, the actual change has to be made by companies.
Yeah.
Almost all of the change. It has to be made in consumption patterns also, which is something we all can do. But when it comes to production methods, etc., that is something that businesses has to deal with. And no one has been attacking this before with the language that businesses understand. And there's a lot of conversations about the disconnect between the UN and businesses. And we have the Global Compact, which is sort of the glue in between them, but it's still not a message that gets spread out to all the companies in the world.
Right.
So what we have done is that we've looked at the system, and we worked with a company that's called the Foresight Group, who has helped us think like businesses and think about how you can create entrepreneurial change. And we know one thing, and that is that it always starts with leadership.
Right.
So the whole thing about changing people's minds, we need to change every business leader's mind so they understand that the future is going to have to be sustainable or it doesn't exist. And that means that the businesses who will exist in that future also has to be sustainable. So if you're not sustainable, you're going to be dead. And that's a pretty good and strong incentive for a business. So I think that's the main focus of the main thrust, is to get business leaders and executive groups and shareholders on board with this journey.
Right. So I'm going to magically appear from behind my back, the roadmap that you and your team have put together. So this is the roadmap, and it's really beautifully laid out, where it's not too content heavy, and there's some really incredible graphics that help businesses find ways to really action what they need to action in order to transform the current issues. So maybe do you want to speak a little bit more about this and the purpose of this and how this works?
Yeah, so the playbook is really like an ABC of how to do this. And it just states that it starts with leadership. And if you don't have the leadership with you, it doesn't matter how good sustainability people you have at your company, because you're not going to move the business models. So it starts with the leadership, and once the leadership has decided that this is what we want to do, this is what the future is, this is what the new wave of companies are focused on, then you need to make sure that everyone is informed about the issues. And we're talking about climate here, but of course about social issues also, gender issues, etc. But this very book is focused on climate. So then you need to make sure that everyone in your organization understands the issues and understands the importance of them.
Right.
So that's sort of the first two steps. The first is you commit. The best thing is if you make a manifest for your organization, and then you inform everyone in your organization. And once you have an organization that is committed to climate leadership and informed, then the fun thing starts, which is to make it happen. And there we believe very strongly in an entrepreneurial approach, and to find the entrepreneurial forces within your organization.
Right.
To search out people who have excelled at delivering and also are interested in these very issues. and then just engage that creativity with changing your organization from the inside.
Right. So what would your advice be, given all the work that you've done, for organisations who have some leaders in there that are committed to this journey, but where there's fragmentation, you know, there's not that buy-in at the board level, or in terms of friction within the organisation, how to bring that alignment in?
Yeah, I mean the near profitability is something that people are going to have to struggle with, especially if it's a company that's on the stock market.
Right.
That's always obstacle. These changes tend to be easier for family-owned businesses,
right,
because they respond to themselves,
right,
and they can easily say, okay, we're not going to have as big profits the next year, or maybe no profits, or maybe operating at a loss for the next 2 or 3 years as we recalibrate and find out new production methods, find out new packaging material and whatever it can be. But the thing that you have to convince your business leaders about is that the world is, unless we change these things, there's not going to be a stable, peaceful planet for the businesses to exist in.
right.
So we're fighting for our own future as a business leader.
Right, and in that sense, they're fighting for the not only the continuity of humanity, but the continuity of their business, right? Because if they don't take action, it poses an existential threat.
Yeah.
No.
And it's also, I mean, ultimately, I think that it's about finding the most elegant solutions. And an elegant solution is not one that produces waste that soils the planet. It's one that you create that is in harmony with people and with the planet, and that is sustainable. Because otherwise, you know, you're just I don't know. You're making money out of destroying something, and that's, I mean, who wants to do that? It seems to be not the best thing that we can do with our minds. I believe in businesses' power, the power that businesses have to create a better world, create fantastic products, and create a profit. And if you're not interested in those things, well, then maybe you should do something else.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And you can access the playbook where?
You can access it on, where can you access it? On thenewdivision.world, on our homepage.
Okay, great.
On our website. I also would like to thank Björn Olsson, since he's in the room, one of the writers. Fantastic work by him and Mark that has made this all possible.
Thank you, Björn. And so go check out the playbook. Let's repeat the website again.
thenewdivision.world.
Newdivision.world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.